Today, you're only going to focus on slope-intercept form of a line. And you've done this before. You did this in Algebra 1, and it's the form of a line that people are most familiar with and most comfortable with. So we're just going to get some practice on it today before we go into point-slope form next class, which is actually a more useful form of a line. So slope-intercept form is the line y equals mx plus b, where m is your slope and b is your y-intercept. And as you just did the IXLs, you should be very, very comfortable at this point finding slope of lines. So write an equation in slope-intercept form for the line. Well, on this one, it's really hard to tell exactly what the y-intercept is, but let's look at the 2 points that we have. We have this point right here. That is the point 2, 3. And we have this point right here. That's the point -1, 4. So let's first find the slope of this line. So the slope is going to be 3 minus 4 over 2 minus -1, or 2 plus 1. So we get -1 over 3. So our slope is -1/3. So let's plug in what we know. So y equals -1/3 x, and we're not sure exactly what the intercept is yet. So let's just pick one of these points to plug in, and I always like to pick the point of least resistance, and that's usually the one with the fewest negative signs. So I'm going to pick the point 2, 3. And I'm going to plug that in for x and y so that I can find my y-intercept. It doesn't matter which point you choose, you should still get the same y-intercept. So y is equal to 3 in this case, and that equals -1/3. X is equal to 2 plus b. So 3 is equal to -2/3 plus b. So when we add 2/3 to both sides, we get that b is equal to 3 2/3. Now I prefer that you write all of your fractions as improper fractions. So b is really equal to 11/3, because you do 3 times 3 is 9 plus 2 is 11, and you keep that over the thirds. So the final equation for this line is y equals -1/3 x plus 11/3. Don't forget to do that final step of plugging it in, and make sure that when you write your final equation, you have an x and a y, unless there's a slope of 0 or a vertical line is an undefined slope. But a lot of people forget to write the x in there, especially, and a lot of people just write y equals -1/3 plus 11/3. Don't forget it. Always look at your final form. All right, this one is a little bit easier because we can see exactly what the y-intercept is. And we know that the y-intercept, or b, is equal to 3. And unfortunately, that doesn't help us eliminate any of these answers. But let's also look at the slope of this. Does this have a positive or a negative slope? And this line has a negative slope because it's decreasing as, oops, I didn't mean to move that. It's decreasing as x is getting bigger, y is getting smaller. It has that downward slant. So knowing that, we can eliminate a and b because those both have positive slopes. Now let's look at the two ordered pairs we have. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This ordered pair here is 6, 1. And the other ordered pair we have is 0, 3. Notice anytime you have 0 as the x-coordinate, you know your y-intercept. So finding the slope, we get 1 minus 3 over 6 minus 0, which gives us -2, 6, which gives us -1/3. So we now know that it's going to be b, it's already circled, which is -1/3 x plus 3. And I covered up the answers. Y equals. Write an equation in slope-intercept form for the line that has a slope of -3/5 and passes through 5, -2. I cannot tell you how many people want to just write this equation and say y equals -3/5 x minus 2, because they just decide to take that y value from the point that you've been given. Please never do that. Unless you have a point that's 0 something, you don't know the y-intercept. So we know that we have a slope of negative 3/5. So we know we have y equals negative 3/5 x plus b. Now we need to plug in that point. And that's 5, negative 2. So we're going to say negative 2 equals negative 3/5 times 5 plus b. And so we get negative 2 equals, well, negative 3/5 times 5 is negative 3 plus b. Add 3 to both sides. And we get that 1 equals b. So we get y equals negative 3/5 x plus 1. Okay, same idea on this one. We have a line with a slope of 2/3 and it passes through negative 3, negative 1. So we're going to say y equals 2/3 x plus b. And then we'll plug in the point that we've been given. So we have negative 1 equals 2/3 x. Nah, didn't need to write that. Two-thirds times negative 3 plus b. So negative 1 equals negative 2 plus b. So add negative 2 to both sides and we get 1 equals b. So y equals 2/3 x plus 1. Now notice this is an example of a good ACT problem. Notice how they do that. One of the answers is negative 1 for the y-intercept. So they capitalize on people making that common mistake and just putting that y value for the y-intercept. What is an equation of a line that passes through 2, negative 3 and negative 3/7? First thing you can do is find the slope. Minus 7 over 2 minus negative 3. And so that's going to give us negative 10 over 5, which is negative 2. So we now know that we can eliminate b and c. And so let's plug in y equals negative 2x plus b. And now these points look about the same. I'm going to pick 2, negative 3. So negative 3 equals negative 2 times 2 plus b. So negative 3 equals negative 4 plus b. Add 4 to both sides and we get b equals 1. So it should be negative 2x plus 1. And I think we're on our last problem now, which is the equation of a line that passes through 2, 5 and negative 1, 3. So find your slope. So you get 3 minus 5 over negative 1 minus 2. That gives us negative 8 over negative 3. So positive 8/3. So this is probably going to have some very unfriendly numbers. So we get y equals negative 8/3 x plus b. I'm going to pick 2, 5, plug in. So we get 5 equals negative 8/3 times 2 plus b. So 5 equals negative 16/3 plus b. Now I'm going to add 16/3 to both sides, but I want to show you on your calculator how you can get this fraction very easily. So we're going to do 5 plus 16/3. Wait for the calculator to open up. So we want to do 5 plus, not divided by, plus 16/3. And remember, a fraction is just division. Now, it's going to come up a pretty ugly number, but look what happens if we hit math over there on the left-hand side of the screen, and the very first option is frat, and hit enter, enter. We get that it's 31/3. We did something wrong. So I misread my numbers on this problem. I thought this was a negative sign because my writing is so bad. So that's actually going to make this problem a lot easier. We get rid of this and this. And we're back at the very beginning, and we have 3 minus 5 is -2 over -3. So we have a slope of 2/3. This is going to make our numbers a lot prettier. So we have y equals 2/3 x plus b. And I'm going to pick 2, 5. So 5 equals 2/3 times 2 plus b. So 5 equals 4/3 plus b. Now, going back to the handy calculator, we're going to have to subtract 4/3 from both sides. And so I'm going to do 5 minus 4/3, and I'm just going to math bracket and enter, and it gets 11/3. So we get the slope is 2/3 and the y-intercept is 11/3, so the answer should be C. So go ahead and do those IXLs that I assigned. Thank you.